Welcome to False Flag, the podcast made to cut through the propaganda and doublespeak and empower a grassroots activism, and most importantly, to take back a government of and for the people.
Celebrating in style. And we thought we would talk about the benefits of having medical marijuana, recreational marijuana,
I wish I could make a bubbling sound.
and as well the benefits of even hemp. And joining us is a lady that's worked with several groups to try to get medical marijuana and hemp legal. So why don't you tell us about some of the benefits of marijuana and hemp?
Well, one of the main benefits here with medical marijuana is the seizure syndromes in children. It really helps with the seizures. Obviously, many of these children are never going to live a so-called normal life, but by them being able to use the medical marijuana, which is not always smoked, a lot of it's in oil. They have topical solutions. There's a multitude of ways it can be ingested. It drastically helps their seizures, and these children are able to live a life. That's just one of the many ways it helps. It helps with glaucoma. They're finding it helps with Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, possibly even diabetes. It's pain medication, pain management. Oh gosh, I can't even think of all the ways right now that it helps. There are multiple different strains, and kind of like big pharma, one strain that works for you might not work for me. So it's best to, when you're medicating, talk to somebody who knows and can direct you on what you need.
Can you overdose from marijuana?
No, I've never heard of that happening. I suppose you can, but you'd have to be...
Well, you can clap. It doesn't have to be one of us.
Well, they say you can, but
It can't.
you'd have
Okay,
to
can you do this?
Do it over again.
Can you do this? Louder.
Okay, yeah, you're the Trump kid. Okay,
All right.
cut that out. All right, listen, I know one thing about marijuana from like chasing the scream and stuff. It is essentially a medical impossibility to overdose from marijuana. It's something like, what, a pound? And then that's only 50% death rate at that point. I mean, and that's just theoretical. No one in their right mind can sit down and smoke well, maybe Snoop Dogg, but can smoke a pound of marijuana. But, you know, what's the overdose rate on alcohol? It's like, what, 8 ounces, something like that?
Probably you could, somehow condense it down into its essential THC, form, and
I think you're more likely.
Shoot it, pounds worth. Probably you could do.
I think you're more likely to choke on the Cheeto you're eating. And listen, I don't smoke pot. I don't. I'm not gonna say I never have, but I don't. So this isn't go pot. It's just, if you're talking about a safe drug, that's about as safe as it comes.
I would like to interject here and say that nobody at this table smokes pot routinely. We're just not.
Yeah, what does routinely mean? Like, you use an apple and make a bomb? I mean,
Would every 4 weeks be non-routine?
So, yeah,
Okay, all right. Because I don't want to lie.
yeah, but nobody else does. Nobody else.
20 plus years for me. So
Yeah. Yes, I have before, but not in 30, 40 years.
Did you inhale?
I did inhale.
I got hired in a kite.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Let's
that's
go.
a long time.
Let's go back to the seizures, because I know that there was a child that you had followed for a while, and the family had to move from our state over to Colorado because our state is backwards. And prior to them getting medicated, they were having this child was having 30 seizures a day, correct?
And more.
And once he got on the routine in Colorado, it dropped down to what?
There are 3 children that I followed. I'm still in touch with 2. Their seizures are down to sometimes they can go days or weeks without a real seizure. They tend to have better spells and bad spells, like an illness going around will bring out the seizures. Stress will bring out the seizures. Sometimes the cycle of the moon seems to bring out the seizures.
There was one child I remember who had started to become a preteen, and up to that point, he didn't speak at all. And then once he got to Colorado and got on the regiment, he began to speak 3 or 4 words at a time.
Right. Little girl did too. She's speaking. She goes to school now. She can play. She has friends, as well as the young man.
I know when I was in Colorado 6 or 7 years ago, they had medical marijuana, and I have a lot of different health issues, and a friend of mine knew one of the providers and allowed me to take a couple of hits off of the pipe. Now, it was a specialized strain that was for neurological issues, which my neuropathy is. And I was taking 16 pills a day just for the pain and to keep my body without pain. And after I took a couple of good hits on that pipe, I was down to 3 meds for the next 2.5, 3 weeks.
And that happens a lot. A lot of cases, the medications are able to be cut back to very few medications. In some instances, there are no medications, pharmaceuticals being taken.
Sure. And, yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to throw this out there. I think the biggest reason that the government is so hostile against pot, I mean, it's considered like a Schedule 2, which is crazy. It's up there with heroin and all that stuff. We can't grow Prozac in our closets. So there really is, I mean, and I don't mean to be conspiracy theorists here, but there really is a factor that pot does a lot of beneficial things that the pharmacy people can't charge you $50 a pill for. Or
Well, that's
$50,
not a conspiracy. If you look at the last election cycle, some of the states that was putting forth the option to become recreational marijuana, the big pharmaceutical companies were paying for the anti-marijuana act, and they dumped millions upon millions of dollars because they don't want it. And I am sick and tired of our elections, our government, decisions are being made for the benefit of the CEOs of corporations and not for the citizens. Marijuana is herbal, it's natural, it does not have all the different chemicals that your drugs have, and it just treats the body so much better. And I don't care if you're religious or not, I don't care who you think created this world. If something natural is growing that can treat you, I guarantee you it's going to be better for your body than a foreign chemical being pushed through your body. So natural herbal products are much better for the human body than all these chemicals.
But they can't be patented.
The U.S. government does have a patent on marijuana.
You're kidding.
No,
Wow.
there's a patent.
Maybe it's a GMO strain or some yeah, but they can't have original. You know, you can't patent grass. You know.
I think you can possibly patent certain strains
Yeah,
because
if you make it.
I know in Colorado, the University of Boulder, I think some of their biology and chemists were actually coming up with which strains were
GMO,
best.
Right. You can patent like Monsanto does. It's, yeah, if you create something genetically and it's
Marijuana is not patented, or is not GMO.
anyway, okay.
Are you looking this up?
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. patent for marijuana, it's number 6 something.
666.
I was thinking the same thing.
fact, there was a group going around on Facebook not too long ago called
What patent number 6,630.507 mean to the marijuana? Why the U.S. government holds a patent on cannabis. Wow. I didn't even know this. I'm going to the website called cannabis.co. Patent number 6,630,507 or 6,630,507. Marijuana proponents have been highlighting the government-owned patent, but the issue in the patent itself aren't really black and white. Things never are. So let me scroll down a little bit. Wow, where did you hear this? I've never heard this in my life. And I mean, the editor of High Times lives in my hometown. You know?
Being an activist for this, the word gets around. I've known it for, gosh, a couple of years now.
I'm going to reference an article from which I'm sure most of our listeners, the millions of listeners we have, surely mathematically they're going to. Crack.com. They have an article on how our modern life is so against what our evolutionary thing. And one of the things is the problem with the reason we have such a problem with drug abuse in America and compared to other countries, we're off the charts compared to other countries, is we suffer from anxiety more than any other country. We're constantly worried about our jobs, our health care, our political system. And the article was making, and we'll put it in the end notes exactly what episode it was, but they're making the case that most of our social ills come from anxiety. And one thing that pot treats very well is anxiety. People drink, people smoke, people do everything in the world because they're looking for an escapism. And it ties back to the fact that we don't deal with anxiety. We don't deal... Our country is... Well, I mean, this is a tangent, but for somebody who's been interested in this, mass shooters. How many mass shooters do you know that when they get canned at work is when they come back and do this stuff? Because in America, we are our jobs. You don't have a job, you're not a person.
So a company should never can anyone.
Yeah.
Solve that problem.
No, I'm being completely serious. I mean, in America, if you don't have a job, you don't have an identity.
That's your identity. Yeah.
That's your identity. What's the first question you ask somebody? What do you do? What do you do? What you do? What are you doing? What do you do for a living? And because our healthcare system is so whack that my son lives in Japan right now. He pays a full coverage amount for his health insurance, $18 a month. $18 a month. What's Obamacare? And I support Obamacare, but it's insane. But yeah, we lose our job and we lose ourselves, and that's a constant thing.
Sure.
And
because we've been programmed to think a certain way.
You are your job.
Yeah. I mean, it's indoctrinated in us. In 2003, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services was granted a patent on cannabis. It was patented the marijuana plant in its entirety, but the overall intent is one of symbolic in nature. It's intellectual property, and wow.
So they patented all of marijuana?
Okay, so what this person is saying, and I agree with his point, is the hypocrisy of you're against marijuana being legal as a federal government, but yet you own the patent for it. So why would you own the patent for something that you don't believe in?
I'm going to throw a tangent out here, and this is probably going to be news to 99% of our listener base, but how many people do you remember, like Ancestry? Oh, it's not Ancestry.com. It's the one where you send a DNA sample in to get
23andMe.
23andMe. That was started by the wife of the Google executive. Okay, it was like $100. Now it's $200. People complain about how much it costs. Do you know why it was $100? Because it was actually less than what it cost to do it. They were operating that website at $100 a pop.
Probably to collect that information.
To collect the information. They've taken all that genetic material and sold it to pharmaceutical companies because they can use that in their mathematical algorithm to test drugs, to test things. And by simply fact of having this done, you consent to that. If there's some special thing about your DNA code, like suppose you're immune to cancer, suppose you're immune to HIV, which there are people that are immune to HIV naturally. By going through this 23andMe, you signed off your entire genetic history to Google or to 23andMe.
Use statistics and
Yes.
come up with usable.
Yeah. But that's why they were selling it $100 instead of $200. Now it's 200 and something bucks, which is closer to what it actually cost. But yeah, they weren't doing it to find out your nationality or your history. They wanted your blood.
Right.
Yeah, their genomes.
Their genomes. Yes.
Yeah. Because long story there. That can be another
You know,
broadcast.
it wasn't that long ago that they just got it all mapped out. I mean, it was like 10 years ago when they did the Human Genome Project.
Yeah, a lot of people
Actually, it was
were
Clinton, but
against it.
it's close enough.
Yeah, what, 12, 15?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, another bad thing under the Clinton administration. The National Institutes of Health, better known as NIH, has employed many doctorate level and lawyers through the years to study marijuana. And they've conducted and funded research. Now, what's interesting is the researchers discovered that a non-psychoactive compounds in cannabis, non-psychoactive, meaning there's no hallucinogenic effect, may potentially have antioxidant properties that could be beneficial in the treatment of certain neurological diseases.
I'd like to interject something about all these studies. Any federally, well, I guess all of them are federally funded because the federal government controls all studies in marijuana. They study one strain of marijuana that's grown in the University of Mississippi, and that's all they have to study. So, how do they study it?
Yeah, right. And just because they hold a patent on cannabis, there are many different strains of cannabis. I know for myself with my neuropathy, Purple Haze, Purple Kush was the name that they used in Colorado, and it really helped me. I mean, I don't want to take these pills for the rest of my life. If I can treat myself with something natural, that I can even grow myself, so I don't have to pay for it.
That's the key right there.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that's what they don't want you to do.
And that's part of the false flags that we need to be looking at, is how the media is hand in hand with the government to promote stuff. I mean, even CNN. Dr. Gupta 2 years ago came out and saying that he approved of medical marijuana.
Well, what about, again, call me Tangent Man. That's going to be my code word or whatever. With LSD, I personally never done LSD. I want to. If you guys want to send some in, we can give the address at the end of the thing.
I told you.
I would like to try that with you. I've never tried
We should.
it
Yeah.
either.
Okay.
You know what? Maybe it'd be better to try some mushrooms because it is natural. We're talking about the natural.
Yeah.
I told you, just go next door to the horses and the cows and look for mushrooms growing out.
Cary Grant took LSD, and he I loved it. It was actually developed. I mean, we know. I'm sure most of the listeners know the story of LSD. It was developed as an accident, but the psychologist latched onto it very early. That was a way to get rid of the barriers that we have to our inner self. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the listeners have heard about that root they do down in is it
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca? Yes.
Vines.
Yes. that has a tremendous success rate on curing mental illness because it gets rid of the conflict between your subconscious and your conscious. One thing that you don't realize with acid, and again, I've never done it, but I have read about it. It doesn't put anything into you. All these visions you see, all these things, that's inside your head. What it does, it breaks down the barrier between your subconscious and your conscious mind. And people who have...
Timothy Leary.
That was the guy...
LSD trips.
That was the guy I was trying to pull out of my head is...
And who was the band that played during the LSD trips?
Grateful Dead. Yes.
Another reason to like the Dead.
Well, there were several bands in California in the middle 60s when all that started.
Sure.
Jefferson Starship, yeah.
Yeah.
But, of the White Rabbit,
Yeah.
But the thing is, that is probably the most effective psychotropic drug on getting to those inner demons that you have. And it's locked down under lock and key. They can't even test it. They can't do anything with it. Because, again, you can't...
Let me interject here, because what you're touching on is so very important. The majority of the people that take psychotropic drugs to battle their mental illness, every single one of those drugs has the side effect of causing suicidal thoughts, which is the first reason why you needed to be put on the drug, and the drug can cause you to still have them.
Or murder.
And no one...
The Columbine kids. I've read tons about the Columbine kids. That was linked back to the drugs they were taking.
Tin Hat Time, most of those school shootings and mass shooters are on psychotropic drugs.
Now, no one in my lifetime, while getting stoned, ever jumped up off the couch and said, I want to go kill someone. I want to kill myself. 9 times out of 10, they're like, is Whataburger still open?
I love Cheetos, man.
Taco Bell.
Cheetos.
So, I mean,
Doritos,
if you're a
yeah.
parent, would you rather your child be on something natural that has no side effects of suicidal thoughts, or put them on a drug, and then sometimes that drug quits working, so you got to try another drug, and then your body has to get used to that, and you're constantly changing your drug cocktail because you can't be on the same one for a long period of time. Versus being diagnosed and getting pot and staying on that strain the rest of your life, never having to change.
If I can say something, that is a major point with these seizure disorders, primarily in the children. The pharmaceutical drugs that they try, these children are tried on multiple drugs, and they might help a little bit, but most of them only help for about 2 weeks, then they have to find another drug. Many of these children end up dying of organ failure. It kills their organs before they die of their
drug
seizure.
toxicity in their bodies.
And that's one thing. This young man that's now in Colorado with his family went there with organ failure. He is now testing his organs are good. So, that's another thing to keep in mind.
So, I mean, a lot of the false flags through the years are lies.
I've got a very close personal friend. I mean, he's the hide of the body friend. He has been struggling with depression for years. They've got him on psychotropics now. And he said it worked wonderfully for about 2-3 weeks. And then it just fell off to nothing. He's trying, and his side effects are horrible. I mean, he tingling in his body, mood swings, messes with his testosterone level, just everything.
What about overeating?
Yeah, of course, overeating. Okay, one thing, but also, I started to do some research on it. Like your Prozacs and your other drugs, they only have like a 4 or 5% improvement over what's the name called? What a placebo effect. It's the fact that a doctor in white clothes is giving you this will help your problem.
My doctor has green clothes.
Well, green, blue, green, whatever.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's the fact that they're giving you this drug, telling you it's going to work for you. It's only 3 or 4%.
Sure.
Difference between placebo and them. And it doesn't work for more than a couple weeks. But again, Prozac has a patent. Prozac has protection under the patent office. They have protection under the FDA. Pot doesn't.
I remember years ago when I was in college, there was a doctor that I went to, and he was all the time, prescribing this and this, and his notepads were the brand name of what he was prescribing, and he had samples to give you. And one day I asked him, I said, how do you get these? And he said, well, the pharmaceutical rep comes in, and he says, I want you to start pushing this onto your clients.
Yeah, move product.
And so you multiply that with the rep hitting all these different doctors in a regional market. Everyone in that area is going to be on that drug, just about. Not everyone. I know that's kind of... But what I'm saying is, it's a marketing tool. Marketing.
You guys know
Marketing.
For the people that don't know me, any subject that we discuss, I pretty much boil it down to it's about the money.
It's about the money.
Yeah, well, it
It
is.
is. Another thing these drug companies do, they're reps. They send the good-looking young men
Absolutely.
to the female
And women.
doctors.
And women, yeah.
And they send the good-looking
Oh, yeah.
young ladies to the male doctors.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of these doctors, when they put out so much of these drugs, they get bonuses. They get vacations. They get gifts.
Do they ever get hot chocolate?
And mugs.
That I couldn't answer.
Who regulates AMA? What is AMA?
American
What does
Medical
AMA
Association.
consist of? Doctors.
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 And doctors who are trying to raise the barrier of entry
Yeah.
because it's a supply and demand issue.
So-
the reason our health care is so
they're
expensive.
self-regulated.
Okay, now look, okay. This is Tangent Man talking again, and I'm totally parroting this from a comedian, but it kind of talks about we've got this mentality that somehow our brains will function normally, that happiness is attainable, that all we need is either drugs or
Sex.
or a new car,
Sex.
yeah, and sex. But okay, this is the parodying part of a comedian. The comedian came up on stage and said, the human brain is the most intricate, amazing organ that we know over the entire universe. It is all-encompassing. It's amazing. But then he realized his brain just told him that. Our brain is flawed. It's like an appendix in some way. And that when we start dumping chemicals in, it's not like you can drop this particular. By the way, this is Tangent Man again. How we developed Prozac? You know where the Prozac, the basic chemical compound comes from? They were studying lobsters, and lobsters have big claws that they use as penis representations. I mean, you're a big claw, you're a bad man. Well, lobsters will build these little houses. And another lobster will come along with these big claws and like, I want your house. I'm going to kick your ass if you don't give me your house. Well, if the guy has got big claws and makes the other lobster leave, the lobster who won the battle gets dumped with serotonins that just makes him feel like I'm the king of the world. I am it. The guy who has to leave gets dumped with, I can't remember the name of the chemical, but it's basically the opposite of serotonin. It makes him feel depressed. Well, guess what Prozac is made to do? It's a chemical compound that's made to dump serotonin into your bloodstream to make you feel like you're the king of the world. You just kick your competition out.
Yeah. Well, and another thing to remember about pharmaceutical companies, and it's tied to money, is the pharmaceutical companies developed a drug in their lab that there was no known disease yet. So they began to talk to doctors about restless leg syndrome.
Thank you. That's not an urban legend. I've actually looked that up.
So I mean, they developed something that
It's not real.
that's not real.
Are you tired at night? Do you feel sleepy in the morning?
Several years ago, the American, I don't know, all the psychiatrists, whatever association they have, it was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5.
Head Doctors of America.
Yeah, whatever. Their association, they like doubled the number in that 1 year. You know, they had a big convention and all whatever, and they like doubled the number of psychiatric syndromes that exist.
Yes.
In 1 year, just they had a couple, 200-300 new ones.
We have social media addiction. We have cell phone addictions.
It's official. I mean, the insurance is on. The pharmaceuticals are on.
The good insurance. The good insurance.
Yeah, the good insurance is on it. The pharmaceutical companies are on it. The government's on it. If you have this syndrome, you might be having some limitations here on your civil rights.
Well, let's look at another angle of this. The states that have allowed medical marijuana or even recreational marijuana, what has happened to their tax base?
It's exploded.
And, I mean, in Colorado alone, this one city got so much money back they didn't know what to do with it, and so they decided to give it back to schools to benefit the kids.
Oh, I've got one
So,
for you
I
too.
mean, this drug that's so bad, the government says, is actually benefiting so many different states because of the added revenue.
But do you know what they're PO'd about? Drunk driving in Colorado has dropped 25%.
Shit, yeah.
So that's a funding.
It's a funding thing,
problem.
yes.
Yeah,
And,
that's a
and
funding
what I've
problem.
told this
Which
is all
goes
the podcast.
back to,
Money.
But
seems
it
like a
always
lot of
goes
it.
to the money.
Yeah, it always goes to one.
Okay, and I've brought this up before. As Google cars come online, what happens to your local yokels who are writing tickets for speeding, improper lane changes, not turn signals? That all goes away. Even DUIs go away.
It's a funding problem.
Because you can, Ubers, for God's sakes. You can be completely wasted off your gourd and not get a ticket because there's somebody else driving for you.
Sure, let's move this conversation a little bit deeper into hemp and the different benefits that hemp. Now, I recently downloaded from, one of those dark webs, Pirate Bay places. Not to say where I got it. Pirates Bay.
Not SE.
And it was a book on hempcrete. And it was taking the hemp and making houses. It was written by architects in Europe that not only saves money, it's kind of like Buckminster Fuller's geodesic homes. It retains insulation by itself. You can actually warm your house in Alaska with a damn candle, which means you don't have to have electricity, which goes back to
George
money.
George Washington grew hemp, by the way.
Oh, the Declaration
Our Declaration
is. The Declaration of Independence is on hemp paper. Henry Ford, in 1940, made a car where all the parts that weren't metal were made out of hemp.
Wow. I knew this. I knew these
Now,
two guys.
dresses,
They drove a
clothing.
van made of hemp back across the border, and they caught on fire. And the cop came up and like, "What'd you guys pull me over for?" It's like, I don't know. That's a Cheech and Chong reference for you guys, for you young kids out there.
So, talk to us a little bit about hemp and the benefits of growing hemp, and how it's a cash cow.
It is. It is. It can be used to produce and manufacture so many different articles that we use: paper, clothing,
Gasoline. It can replace gasoline.
Your fuel.
Rope.
Your
Hemp
house
rope is the strongest.
I'd like to interject here before we get started on hemp. It won't get you high.
Yeah,
That's a
it's an
bummer.
agricultural. I mean, let's face it. In America right now, we have income inequality so much. But if you're in rural parts of America, you could grow hemp and actually become higher than middle class real easy because of all the different manufacturing plants that uses hemp. and we're hurting ourselves in America by trying to demonize hemp because, as you just said, hemp is not something you use to alter your mind. You can't get high off of it.
Right. Now, right now, legal in all 50 states, you can have a CBD oil made from hemp. It's not
What is CB oil?
CBD,
CBD, yes.
cannabidiol. I don't know how to pronounce it. It does help ease pain. It's not strong like the cannabis oil, but it does help somewhat. Now that I do personally use, it's helped tremendously. Won't get you high, won't cause you to fail a drug test. But aside
It won't
from
make
that,
you to where you're impaired to where you can't drive.
right. No, you're not impaired. There's no the THC.
And it
limit
comes
in that
from
has
hemp
to be-
again. Comes from hemp.
Yes, from hemp. So, there's the health aspect, there's the building aspect, there's the fuel aspect, there's the clothing manufacturing aspect.
So with this one agricultural product, you can build a house, have clothing, drive your vehicle, eat plates and forks made out of it
There are dietary supplements and healthy.
from
food.
one damn plant.
And not only that, depending on the climate, you can grow it up to 2 to 4 crops per year. And I believe 1 acre of hemp is equal to 4 acres of trees. Trees take years to grow. We cut those down and we have to wait years. Cut down 1 acre of hemp, boom, we've got that acre that we can grow back in 6 months.
And didn't our forefathers that started this country, I would say that a good 80% of them were hemp farmers.
Okay, for many years, up until I think the end of World War II, not in the beginning, but before World War II, I think during World War II, and for many years prior to that, especially pre-industrial age when there were sailing ships and big navies of sailing ships, whenever there was a war, farmers were required to grow hemp.
Oh, wow.
Required. It was against the law not to. There was a quota that they had to meet in hemp.
And once again, your favorite saying, it all comes back to
Showing the money.
So, I mean, there's so many false flags that are force-fed down us through the news media, through movies, through magazines, from lawmakers that will stand up. And what's really funny is the ultra-conservatives that stand up and talk about this shit are like O'Reilly. Right now, they're being found with prostitutes, with sexual harassment. We had one senator that, liked 17-year-old boys. It's never the damn liberal
Dude,
politicians.
The kid was pretty hot. I mean,
And
seriously.
he had good bud.
Yeah.
Because
He had good
the
bud.
senator smoked some pot.
Right.
You
right.
know. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not pointing the finger going us versus them. But those that stand up and speak the loudest against something are usually the ones doing it themselves.
I understand why many people would be opposed to medical marijuana because some of it, probably most of it, will get you high. And whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But if you believe it's wrong, fine. That's a fact.
Then you don't have to use it.
Hemp will not get you high. What is the argument?
Okay,
Sure.
I
Now,
have
I've
a
had friends
question.
of mine that have, gotten so damn high off of marijuana they can't even move or talk.
Your pastor
okay?
told you this. Not actual friends. Your pastor told you
No.
this.
I've seen that. I've been around that. I used to work in the damn music business. Come on. But for myself and many others, we just like to get that little buzz and carry that little buzz for a couple of hours, because it's kind of our recreational way. It's not fattening. There's no calories other than it makes you want to eat. But what I'm saying is,
Yeah,
not
that's another
everyone wants to get blazed. Who gets blazed? Let's be honest. It's the teenagers and the early 20-year-olds. The 30-plus-year-olds
But what's the
use it much differently, unless you're Willie Nelson. But
What
it doesn't
if-
affect him. He can still put on a 3-hour concert and play complex chord patterns night after night. But not everyone's Willie Nelson.
And here's another thing that they're thinking that some of these teenagers use it. Are they self-medicating? Maybe do they have an underlying anxiety or depression?
Yeah,
problem?
what's the
So
difference?
all they use
Shit,
is
why
marijuana.
wouldn't they?
Right.
This generation that is growing up today that are preteens and teenagers have absolutely no hope of ever.
But what's the difference between getting blazed on martinis at the bar and getting blazed on pot? And by the way, I don't smoke pot.
Our society in America today is controlled to a large extent through some emotion. What is that emotion?
Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah.
Oh, fear or anger. I mean, if you
Outrage,
want to
outrage.
piss someone off on Facebook and get a long thread, call them a derogatory name.
So with that, if we're just drowning in fear, we're controlled, mind controlled through fear.
Well, there's a
Fear.
I saw this years ago. I mean, this is like back when, Wheel of Fortune was the thing. If you watch the evening news, they will say Russia's developing nuclear technology to annihilate or South Korea is developing nuclear technology to annihilate the United States.
North Korea.
Did I say Korea?
You said South Korea.
South Korea are great people. I've actually met some South Koreans, but okay. North Korea is developing a technology to destroy us all. In reality, no. I mean, that would be like a 95-pound weakling trying to pick a fight at a Mr. Universe contest. Okay. But they do this gloom and doom. Life, tomorrow we're going to die. And then you have either a drug commercial or a car commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been proven over and over again, if you can switch a person's mindset from like the here and now to like, I am going to die, I am a mortal being, life is ticking away, you make poor decisions financially. So if you're like, and the news will tell you like, North Korea is developing a nuclear missile to reach the coast of the United States. But they never tell you to do anything about it. You don't call your congressman. You're just like,
Apathy.
Apathy.
Yeah.
So
Big deal.
when they get you in that mood, I mean, remember doing the Bush Gore? It was the Bush Kerry thing. Bush had this commercial come out saying, "Well, we had the wolves running through the forest to get the little child or the thing or whatever." It's if you can put fear into a person's heart, put their mortality where it's a real thing, you think differently.
Well, sure.
All right, tinfoil hat time. I've seen a lot of conspiracy movies that 9/11 was orchestrated by our own government. In fact,
The Jews.
the air traffic
Actually, that's true.
controllers
Not true, but
on
that's-
tape were like, is this real life or is this because that same day our federal government was testing and going through a mock drill of an airplane crashing. Now,
And they had all the fighters out over the Atlantic. in
Right.
that Drill.
and I've always
Right.
said this, you have this goddamn tower fall and this other one fall within hours, completely
Hour.
crumbles, but yet we found the passports. We didn't find a telephone.
No. Okay, I'm going to defend that one. The whole thing about and this person here is going to disagree with me, but the whole plan of the World Trade Center, the structure, the strength was on the outside. It was the columns going up. Inside was open floor plan. The only thing puncturing those floor plans was elevator shafts.
Yeah.
So when this plane hits, it goes through 2 foot of aluminum, not solid steel, but 2 foot of, well, I guess they're steel, but it goes through 2 foot of material, goes across the floor plan, blows out the other side. What they, I don't know if I looked at the 9/11 conspiracy theories. That little missile thing coming, the plane flying away. That's a piece of the cockpit, because a plane would not disintegrate going through that much floor space when all it is metal, office space, metal.
Well, there's big hunks of steel in a plane.
Okay, but did they find anyone else's wallet,
but that all
purse?
But that all blew through. I mean, that thing was going like 600 knots an hour.
Whatever.
It blew through the building.
That's debatable too.
Well,
And I
look,
say that was
no matter what happened, you can at least say they took advantage of it.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, the
we
Patriot
can
Act
all agree
took
on
away
that.
so many of our rights.
Good. Let's go upstairs and do something about it. Come on.
You want to pause it so it's not
Well,
going?
we're getting off track anyway. Now we're getting the real tinfoil conspiracy stuff and truth. What they call it, truth or
Truth or
9/11
dare,
truth or stuff. And that was not the plan.
Yeah.
We're getting off track here.
What's that?
Well,
We shouldn't even do that because there's been so much.
well, I know, but it just. What I'm trying to say is the government goes around
Fear.
and teaches us fear.
Right.
And the things that they don't want us to know, they create this false flag.
Right. But the subject is marijuana and how it can, help anxiety and
Mental disease, cancer patients.
And the governments or the powers that be create anxiety.
And they own goddamn patent.
I'm not sure about the legality of that.
It's been proven. They do.
Well, you looked up something on the internet. I mean, did you
No,
go to the
that's-
patent? Go to the patent office and look up
That's
that
there.
number.
That's there.
Okay. I'm saying maybe they can patent something if they created the gene sequence. And that's patentable.
No,
but you can't just patent all of it. You can't patent the
I don't know
source
what
or-
part they patent, but I can tell you if a government federal program wants to patent something, the government's
Well,
going to allow
I'm saying
it.
I think there's a serious question about the legality.
Oh,
A
sure.
a blanket patent on all marijuana.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That'd be like patenting
Water.
trees.
Patent water.
Yeah, water.
Patent water.
Air. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm also saying that if a federally
No, they can do
funded
what they want
program,
to. They can patent what
they're
they
going
want
to do
to,
what they
but,
want to.
does it hold up to,
Yeah.
What we've talked about so far is the benefits of medical marijuana, the benefits of financially for a state, tax-wise, to allow recreational marijuana. We've also talked about the products of hemp, an agricultural product that would help so many hurting families that live in income inequality. And hemp, as we stated, you cannot get high from. So I mean, why are we against something that could benefit so many people?
And
money.
It would also reduce crime.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Now, here's something we haven't touched on. This may be important in a timely manner, and that is that several states in recent years have actually legalized hemp, the production, the growth of hemp. However, it is controlled. It's controlled by the government. You have to have a permit or a license or something to do it. And so there's several states where it's technically legal, but there is no state in this country today where farmers are doing it. And the reason is because part of the conditions under which this was made legal is that they had the state universities have to study it.
Sure.
Just the production ways to produce commercial products and the production of it. So state universities are getting grants to study the industrial uses of hemp before it can be turned over to the public to actually do it. And so today, there is not one state in this union where a commercial production of hemp is actually happening.
Sure, it goes back to money. Everything goes back to money.
So in many states, it's technically legal to grow it, but not until the universities have milked all the grant money and the studies. Now, the problem, like we said before, 200-300 years ago, they knew how to use it. Some, I mean, they didn't know how to make concrete out of it, or this building material and all these things, and fuel and all these things. But they had a use for it. They could use it industrially 300 years ago. So here's the situation. Many states where it is technically legal to grow it in many states, however, they're not permitting it. The first state, okay, this is for everybody in this country, the first state that makes it legal to manufacture a product out of industrial hemp and has the only manufacturing facility in the country for industrial hemp might have an economic advantage over other states.
Sure.
And which one's that?
None.
None are doing it right now, though they have the right to. All right, definitely we're going to have to come back and revisit this topic. There's so much more, but I hope that through this talk today you've been able to break down some of the false flags that are out there. As we always say, get involved with different groups that are doing local activism. It is only when you get up off your chair and you move out into the public can we see the changes that we all hope. Thanks for joining us in False Flag. Join us next time when we'll be talking about corporations and how they all got started and what they've become. Thank you.
Drugs again.
That's some pretty good shit, man.
Was that Bob Dylan trying to do the guy from South Park? I don't know.
All right.
Oh, that's good shit.
So do we stop and start a new?
Drugs are banned.
Do a new track. We need to stop and do a new track.
God bless. Thank you for tuning into False Flag, the grassroots activism podcast where together we can change the world.